morning, everybody. Sorry I'm a little late starting. You know what? Hold on a second. Oh, I didn't turn on my overhead lights. It's a little too bright, but the other part's a little too dark. Anyway, sorry I'm a little late gathering all this information up, and I was trying to wait to see if 10, 11, 12, 1. It's going to be 2 o'clock, so it's going to be at the time when my show ends that Biden is supposed to be signing a new executive order regarding the border. He has 2 Texas border mayors back there. He does not have the border mayors near Yuma or near San Diego. He has 2 of the mayors from Texas border towns where the crossings have slowed down. He did not invite the mayor of Eagle Pass, which is the area where they have the concertina wire, and Governor Abbott sent down the Texas National Guard, and they've taken over protecting that area because that was the highest trafficked area there in southern Texas. So strategically, he's inviting mayors that really aren't dealing with a big problem. It's going to be interesting to see, to find out if these mayors from Texas made any sort of an agreement with him. You know, oh, we promise we won't do what the mayor of Eagle Pass did. We'll never do that to you. We'll let Border Patrol take care of everything at the borders in our sections. Complacent type people who just go along to get along, when in reality you need to have a backbone in today's world and stand up to these kind of maddening things that go on, open borders, all those types of things. And I've learned some disturbing things since Thursday to now regarding the border, asylum seekers, what's happening with Joe Biden. And I'm telling you what, I really think there's a lot of things that he's doing that's against the law. Number one, this doesn't have to do with the border, but how has somebody not stepped up and sued this administration for forgiving loan debt, college debt, student debt, when the Supreme Court said no? And Biden just says, F you, we're going to go ahead and do this. And they pull it off. How does this happen? How there's all of these places, the ACLU, you could go on with all these alphabet organizations and nonprofits that had 60, 70, 100 lawsuits waiting in the wings in 2016 when Trump became president, ready to file lawsuits against him, against all of the things that he was stating while he was out on the campaign trail about what he was going to be running on. Let me turn my volume down on this so that we're not interrupted, because this thing will go off all the time we're talking. So how is there not anybody? This is what I don't understand, the difference between the Democrats and the Republicans. And look, I know conservatives, Republicans were more logical, level-headed people. I get that. But when it comes to filing lawsuits and doing that sort of thing, these liberal type organizations will sue you because you used a pink paper straw instead of a purple one, and it's Thursday and you're supposed to be using a purple paper straw. That's just how stupid and ridiculous the liberal organizations are when they file these lawsuits. But the ACLU was filing, I think they had a record number of like 60 or 65 lawsuits they filed in Trump's first, 60, 90 days or something. Or that's how many they had lined out to start filing the minute he started doing anything about the issues he was talking about on the campaign trail. So you have a current administration and a president who says no one's above the law. They gleefully clap when a court rules in their favor, but when a court doesn't rule in their favor, and that includes the Supreme Court when it came to Roe versus Wade, they're going to burn down the country, right? They're going to change it up. We're going to get rid of all these justices. We're going to change the makeup of who these Supreme Court justices are. We're going to increase the number of them so that and do it now while Biden's in office so that we can add liberal judges to the Supreme Court. That's the liberal mindset. Instead of feeling like we have a fair justice system, they're going to do anything and everything to skirt around and cheat and manipulate the system that we currently have in place. But I still don't understand why Republicans, conservatives, attorneys, just concerned about things going on in this country in a lawful manner, and a president's administration not feeling that they have so much power that they're untouchable and can do whatever they want. So this whole student loan forgiveness thing went to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court said, nope, you don't have the authority to do it. And yet, what is he doing? Forgiving student loan debt. I don't understand why. And honestly, as American taxpayers, we are being extorted. Extortion's going on with this administration because we are forced to pay our taxes. If you don't pay your taxes, the Biden administration has 86,000 new IRS agents and collection guys, and they will come after you. We are being forced to pay our taxes. And Biden is turning around and using those taxes and handing them to the NGOs that are assisting the invasion of our country. He's handing it over to the federal government. What they do is they filter this money through all these non-governmental organizations, and they spend the money so that it doesn't come back on them, is what they think. And that's a sad reality. Congress, the Senate, nobody really looks into how this money is spread out and looks into these 501c3, these nonprofit organizations, these non-governmental organizations that are becoming millionaire billionaires because these people who are in these organizations are getting hefty salaries right now. Getting hefty salaries to aid and abet the invasion of our country, I might add. So we have to start having things happen in an accountability kind of a way. But when this amount of money, our hard-earned taxpayer money, is given away on a planned invasion of our country, we're being extorted, folks. That's the best word to put it in, right? What best language to put it in? So why hasn't that been exposed? Why isn't anybody going after the Biden administration for extortion as an American taxpayer, as an American citizen, paying taxes? So many things could be going on. But the biggest thing that I want to know is, and I don't know how many of you are aware of this, but there are asylum hearings going on. And they've had about over 350,000 asylum hearings from these people who are invading our country. Excuse me. And the big majority of those people did not qualify for asylum. So they've been before a judge. The judge has said, nope, your credible fear, your credible reasons for trying to come here don't match up with what constitutes a reason to be able to file asylum and be let into our country. Sorry. So now what the Biden administration, aka Mayorkas, is doing with all of this is they are dismissing the cases against these illegals. And these illegals are just being told, all right, you've been before the judge said no, have a good life. And they're left in this country. They're not being deported. They're not being deported after the asylum judge said, no, sorry, you don't fall under the category of this. And they're being gifted with work permits. You got to really wrap your head around this, folks, because this is what everybody was counting on. Okay, well, all these people are coming over and they're going to be seen by a judge and they're going to be denied their asylum and they'll be sent back. That is not what the Biden administration / Mayorkas, the treasonous pig, is doing. That is not what they are doing. They're letting them stay here and they're gifting them with work permits. So we will never see the end of this stream of people. These people will never be leaving our country. They will be staying here indefinitely. And when this is all over and done with the asylum judge and they're gifted with a work permit, they are never required to check in with the U.S. government again. Never. And one of the excuses is, well, if they haven't committed a crime while they're here and they're not a threat to society, we're just going to let them stay. How do you know who this person really is? How many people have we seen who they've let over the border have committed just god-awful crimes here, and then they find out after the fact, oh my gosh, that person, that Venezuelan man, was wanted for mass murder in Venezuela. That person was wanted for raping children in Ecuador. I mean, all this stuff comes up after they've committed a crime. But if they're just going before an asylum judge who's just ready to, push them through, because that's the way Mayorkas and Biden operate, push them through and say, okay, well, you can't get asylum, but you haven't committed a crime and you seem to be a nice person to me, so we'll let you stay, and here's a gift card. A work permit and a gift card and free housing and free food and a free phone and, free health care. Make sure your kids go to our public schools, because the American taxpayers love paying for your children to be educated. And the parents love having your children in the public school system because it drags down the classroom, because your children can't speak English and don't understand what's going on. So, hey, the judge is just a great guy, man, letting these people stay here, right? Biden and Mayorkas are the heroes. It's sick and twisted what they've been allowed to do. It's sick and twisted that the American people don't pay attention to this stuff. I post this stuff on Angel Family's Facebook page, on Angel Moms. I post it on my personal Facebook page. I talk about it on my podcast. And people don't they'll read it and they'll be like, oh, wow, put a mad face or something. But do people really get what this means? Are you really grasping the meaning of what is going to be happening to our country when these asylum seekers are never kicked out? These fake asylum seekers, they're rewarded. And guess what? That word is going to be passed back along to their families in their home countries, and more of them are going to keep coming. And they're going to use the same excuse that their brother or sister or aunt and uncle did at the border because it worked for them. There's no end in sight to all of this. I feel like I'm in a hamster wheel and I have no way of getting off. This is just how disgusting all of these articles and all of these things that are happening. It's disgusting what they're doing to us. What this administration is doing to our country. And the amount of crimes that these illegals are committing. I'm sure, you heard about the New York police officers that were shot by the Venezuelan, riding a scooter around, being, followed by the police and trying to pull him over, and he took off on foot and then ended up shooting 2 officers. This is not okay. Would that guy have been a model guy? I mean, he was a Venezuelan gang member, but the asylum judge isn't going to know that because Mayorkas keeps that kind of information. Suppress. Look at what the media does when these illegals commit the crimes. Suppress the information that they're an illegal. A Philadelphia man, a New York man shot 2 police officers today. That is the biggest headline that comes out. And I'm telling you what, there's no way that the media and the journalists who are writing those articles don't know that that person is an illegal. Unless it goes down even further into the New York muck. And, the police spokesmen are told you cannot tell what the immigration status is on these people. And I would think that the New York Police Department would be fed up with it and basically tell the city council and the mayor, too bad. We're going to let the people know what's really going on here in New York, especially when the New York police officers are the ones dealing with all these yahoos, putting their lives on the line every day, dealing with these dangerous gang members from Venezuela who have infiltrated New York City. And then on top of it, to have one of them shoot 2 of their officers. If I was a police officer spokesman, I'd be like, you know what? It's no holds barred. I'm going to be telling the public everything that we know about this illegal criminal. And we're going to start putting this out there so that everybody knows the magnitude of crimes that they're committing here. Somebody needs to step up and stop the narrative of what's going on, what is happening now in the media. I haven't even looked at the liberal media, but I am sure that not one of those liberal stations are talking about Hunter Biden's gun case going on right now, right? Trial. Of course, they were all over the Trump trial, but for mislabeled paperwork. But this is federal gun charges against the president's son, who was a drug addict and illegally obtained a gun, lied on his application, but that's no big deal. I mean, he was confused. The paperwork's confusing. Well, guess what? If I did exactly what Hunter did, there would be no excuses and I would be in jail for 25 years. I think that's what he's facing. If you did it, you'd be in jail for 25 years. My gosh. I mean, we've got the laptop. I'm sure none of those videos and none of that stuff on his laptop is going to be admissible in court, because they'll say, we don't know whose laptop that was. Was it really his? Well, we know the videos on it are him, and those videos have timestamps. But of course, they won't allow that kind of stuff to be presented in court. And you've got his book, and you've got audio of him on different talk show hosts and news outlets talking about the book and his drug addiction in the time period. But they will find a way to make this, slowly go away. You look at Trump's case and they put it in the most Trump-hated venue possible, New York City. And you look at the Hunter Biden case and they put it in the most friendly Biden family court system possible in the United States, Delaware. And so I guess several of the jurors even were saying that they were friends with the Bidens. That's how close-knit. Out of a poll of, I think it was 45 jurors they were talking to, several of them were personal friends with the Bidens. Are you kidding me? We're never going to see justice as long as the Biden administration is in charge, as long as Merrick Garland is at the Department of Justice. He's being questioned right now by Congress. All Congress wants is the actual audio of President Biden being interviewed. The Department of Justice has already handed over the written transcripts. But like they were saying on the news this morning, there's a lot of because Merrick Garland was saying there's a lot of ands and oh and or and that's why he doesn't want to give it to them. Well, yeah, because you know that he's going to appear like an old man, huh? What? So that's why he claims he doesn't want to give it. But you know what? As we all know, you can text somebody hey, why didn't you call me last night? And the person who you sent the text to reads it like, hey, why didn't you call me last night? There's ways of the inflection in your voice and the tone and all of those things matter. And so to hear the audio of this is important, folks. Sorry, it is. I agree with that 100%. So much injustice going on in this world, but I don't know, and I want to see, maybe I can Google it real quick while we're talking. I have no idea what this border executive order is supposed to be about. Oh, here it is. All right, so let me see if I can share this because it's going to come from a different browser. Here it is. So it says Biden is expected to sign order letting him seal the border with Mexico. Yeah, right. Joe Biden is expected to sign an executive order Tuesday, allowing him to temporarily seal the U.S. border with Mexico to migrants when crossings surge. A move that would suspend longtime protections for asylum seekers in the United States. Biden's senior aides have told members of Congress in recent days to expect him to sign the order at the White House alongside mayors from South Texas, according to several people familiar with the plans. The restrictions would kick in once the number of illegal crossings exceeds 2,500 in a day, according to several people who have been briefed on the order. Daily totals already exceed that number, which means that Biden's executive order could go into effect immediately. The border would reopen to asylum seekers if the number of crossings stays below 1,500 for a certain period of time. They asked for anonymity because the executive order has not been officially announced. The order would be the most restrictive border policy instituted by Biden or any other modern Democrat and echoes an effort in 2018 by President Donald Trump to curb migration that Democrats assaulted and federal courts blocked. Although the executive action is almost certain to face legal challenges, Biden is under intense political pressure to address illegal immigration, a top concern of voters, before the election. Let me see. Go back to it. Sorry about that. So the order, an interim final rule released by Homeland Security, Mayorkas, and Merrick Garland will kick in when the 7-day average of daily encounters at the southwest border and the southern coastal borders exceed 2,500. So when it does so, U.S. border officials will stop implementing credible fear interviews for asylum claims and work to quickly expel foreign nationals who cross the border between ports of entry. Oh, baloney. They don't have any Border Patrol agents down there to do it. This is just a bunch of lies. Migrants who are expelled under the order will receive a minimum 5-year bar on re-entry into the U.S. and potentially be criminally prosecuted. Yeah, right. Mexico will receive nationals of Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela, as well as its own nationals in expedited deportations. It's unclear whether the Biden administration will have enough resources to quickly expel or to detain migrants barred from asylum, raising the possibility that more migrants will be released to the interior with orders of deportation rather than asylum claims, limiting their ability to apply for work permits. Look, none of this stuff that he has ever done has come through. They may say this and it may look good in writing, but I'm telling you what, Mayorkas is going to do this sort of thing behind the scenes. He doesn't care. He doesn't care. They will continue to let these people stay here. They will not be expelling them. And they will be giving them work permits. I've read enough, deep dove into the governmental type orders and procedures and what's happening, folks. They're lying to us. They're doing this only because it's an election year. They're full of crap. They'll give them work permits. They're giving all of them work permits. The official said the Biden administration will enhance its capabilities to return nationals of other countries, including extracontinental migrants from places such as China. We have been working with governments all over the world to enhance our ability to repatriate individuals to countries that have historically been challenging. The asylum restrictions will have exceptions. For instance, they will not apply to unaccompanied minors, and officials will still be able to conduct credible interviews with migrants who manifest a fear of returning to their country because of persecution or potential torture situations. See? There's our little loophole. According to administration officials, the new policy will adhere to U.S. international obligations on treatment of asylum seekers and refugees, though that assessment will most inevitably be challenged in court. The asylum crackdown will be bolstered several enforcement measures targeting smuggling networks and organizations that profit from migration to the Western Hemisphere. Look, folks, they're going to be targeting the organizations that are profiting off of this. The U.S. government is handing the money over to these organizations who are profiting off of this. So that's a lie. They will never go after the cartels. The Biden administration won't. The smuggling networks. The United Nations is involved in it. You telling me that the Biden administration is going to go after the United Nations? Come on. I can't stand when I read articles like this and you have an idiot reporter who actually writes this stuff like this is what's really going to be happening. And I know they're just, putting out what's going to be in this deal. But anybody who believes this when he signed this is crazy. The measure includes revoking U.S. visas for government officials from places including Nicaragua, as well as top corporate officials from companies that provide services like transportation to migrants. An official said the Departments of Justice and Homeland Security will work in tandem to more quickly resolve the immigration cases of recent arrivals looking to quickly expel or deport people without a valid asylum claim. You're full of crap. You're full of crap. And you know what? I bet this is coming out because that article came out about the fact that the over 350,000 asylum cases that this reporter had found out had been heard, and that the majority of them were left here and the asylum cases were dropped and they are no longer monitored by the U.S. government. I'm sure they're trying to cover their backside every which way but Tuesday. The White House seeks to blame Republicans. Of course, that's what they do best. So let me see if I can show you this. Let me see the one article. This is the other thing I wanted to show you. All right, I'm going to share this because we can go through a couple of these articles that I was going to show you. So I wanted to show you So this is the high-speed chase. So there was a high-speed chase that ended up at Laughlin Air Force Base Friday morning. A smuggler in a Nissan led Texas DPS on a high-speed chase in Val Verde County, and during the chase, the smuggler drove through a gate at the Laughlin Air Force Base and continued to evade. The suspect vehicle then drove off-road through a second fence and bailed out. The driver absconded, and 2 illegal immigrants from Guatemala were apprehended. The driver still has not been located, according to sources. Laughlin Air Force Base was put on lockdown to ensure the safety of base residents, and until the vehicle penetrated they went in through the gate. So then the lockdown was lifted. This is the, I think it's like the third or fourth or fifth breach onto military Air Force bases. And yeah, this was a pursuit and stuff, and they just ended up like that. But Chinese people, Middle Eastern people in delivery trucks acting like they're Uber Eats drivers, those type of people are trying to infiltrate our military bases. This isn't funny, folks, what's going on. Let's see. So Chinese nationals at the southern border, the numbers remain interesting. The 3,610 encounters is close to the 7-month average, coming in at 3,957. More importantly, fiscal year 24's total of Chinese nationals coming across our borders at 31,310. With May's numbers, the southwest border area encounters and apprehensions is at 1.69 million for fiscal year 24. More than 170,000 migrants were encountered at the southern border last month, according to DHS sources. The numbers, they might have slowed down because it's hot. This is a suspect accused of shooting 2 New York police officers. He's a 19-year-old Venezuelan migrant who was caught in the Eagle Pass, Texas in July of 2023. His immigration case was dismissed by a Department of Justice immigration judge last month. Sources telling me he did not show up in court and failed to provide an address. Even when being booked initially by Border Patrol, he didn't provide an address, only saying he was going to Chicago. So his immigration case was dismissed by a Department of Justice immigration judge last month. So he's one of the lucky ones, folks. He didn't have to check in with authorities anymore. This past weekend, Border Patrol agents in Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona arrested 3 previously convicted felons illegally in the United States. Their crimes against minors include sexual assault, first degree, aggravated criminal sexual abuse, second degree, and criminal sexual conduct, second degree. Here you go. These are Biden's finest men coming across our border. Cop shooter here and child molesters here. Don't they look like swell fellas? So Senator Mark Kelly from Arizona, Mr. Democrat. President Biden's plan is a welcome action that will help address urgent needs at the border in Arizona, where Border Patrol agents and nonprofits are often overwhelmed by daily migrant crossings. This new effort will support their crucial work and help relieve border communities from the burden of our broken immigration system. But make no mistake, this is only necessary because Congress has failed to do its duty to help fix the border, and there's no substitute for that. The Senate has twice had the opportunity to take up an agreement negotiated by Republicans and Democrats to invest in more Border Patrol agents, technology, and personnel to stop fentanyl, officers to quickly screen asylum claims, and other lasting solutions. But both times my Republican colleagues walked away. Today is a step forward for the federal government to better support Arizona, and I'll keep working with anyone to fix our border and our broken immigration system. He's a liar. because the bills and the things that the Republicans walked away from had more money in it to send to Ukraine to protect their borders and Israel than it had to secure the borders, the southern borders in Arizona. They want more money for technology. Listen, the amount of money that they've spent on useless technology. I know that there's a Border Patrol station down in southern Arizona, southwestern Arizona, and it costs millions of dollars to build. Those Border Patrol agents aren't there. They're 10, 15 miles in from the border. They said it's too dangerous at that Border Patrol station. And this was 4 or 5 years ago when I was down there personally talking to these guys. So I don't want to give you any more money, Mayorkas. I don't want to give you any more money, Biden. And the Republicans and the conservatives feel the same way because it's not spent in the best way to secure our border. Let me see. Let's see what he has to say.
That Joe Biden said, quote, I've done all. I just want to tell you one important number, 126. It was 126 days ago today that Joe Biden said, quote, I've done all I can do. He was asked about why he wouldn't use his extensive executive authority to address the border catastrophe that he himself created. And 126 days ago, he looked into the cameras and said, I'm out of options. I've done all I can do. He tried to convince us all for all this time that there was no way he could possibly fix the mess. Remember that he engineered it. When Congressman Ciscomani said a few moments ago, he began this on the day he took office over 3.5 years ago. He walked into the Oval Office and he started issuing executive orders, dozens of them. We counted 64 specific executive actions that President Biden and Secretary Mayorkas took to open that border wide. They did it intentionally. They engineered the open border. There's no question about it. The evidence is so clear. And now, suddenly, now he wants to issue some weak executive order. One executive order, supposedly to try to address the issue. It's window dressing. Everybody knows it. If he was concerned about the border, he would have done this a long time ago. And we don't know what's in this. The devil will definitely be in the details here, I can assure you. But from what we're hearing, it will ignore multiple elements that have to be addressed, the elements that were in our legislation that we passed over 14 months ago to fix the broken asylum program, to fix the broken parole process, to reinstate the Remain in Mexico policy, to end the catch and release policy that they've advanced. Those are the reasons that this catastrophe has been allowed to continue. And whatever little short measure that he's going to do here is not going to solve the problem. In fact, by some estimates, it might make it worse because it will extend once again the welcome mat. Incentivize people to come and be among the first 2,500 is what we're hearing. The first 2,500 per day to come in to be ensured that you get your welcome package when you come into the country illegally. It's absolute madness.
That's so true. There'll be a rush at the border, and our Border Patrol agents will be overwhelmed because they're going to try and be the first 2,500. They're probably going to have them, staging, and as they arrive down by the border, they'll just keep pushing enough forward till they have 2,500, 2,499, and say, okay, stop. This is for today. Go back. Come back tomorrow. We'll let another 2,499 of you cross the border. That's definitely what's going to be happening. And of course, the United Nations and Catholic Charities and all of these wonderful NGOs who are being enriched by the Biden administration and Mayorkas will be down there handling all of this, doing the bidding of the Biden administration. So, and it's very true what Mike Johnson said. Biden can stand in front of the camera and say
I just want to tell you
that he did not have the authority to do anything. And that's what he's been claiming all along. That's what Mayorkas has been claiming all along. The Republicans, I don't have that authority. But again, like you heard him, the amount of executive orders he signed in his first day in office, it was apparent that it was all about dismantling border security. And then to lie to say he doesn't have the authority to do exactly what he's going to be doing today, it is window dressing. It's an election year. And he knows this is the biggest issue with voters. And so he's got to start doing something, right? Let's see. Ali Bradley says, meanwhile, every law enforcement individual along the border I talk with says this is purely political. The president has had the ability to get things under control for 3.5 years. It was all done by design, folks. Border Patrol here. Well, let's play this. Apprehensions, 227 gotaways, 4 illegal reentry, 1 burglary, drug possession. That's what they end up having down there, is these child abusers that come over. Bill Malusian says, in no way can Biden's executive order be described as shutting down the border. It bans asylum to some illegal crossers with some exceptions, which I told you, read it. It does not stop or slow the up to 1,500 migrants per day released into the U.S. via CBP One app at ports of entries, and does not stop or slow up to 30,000 migrants per month flying directly into the U.S. and being released into the country via Biden's controversial mass parole program for Cubans, Haitians, Nicaraguans, and Venezuelans. Unaccompanied children minors are exempt from the order, which will lead to concerns about child trafficking, and migrants can still claim fear in an attempt to avoid deportation. Also, asylum has already been banned for most migrants who cross illegally since the end of Title 42 last year, and that hasn't stopped them from coming. Highest numbers in recorded history, end of 2023. The order may speed up removals to countries we can deport easily to, Mexico, the Northern Triangle countries, etc. But there has been no explanation as to how the administration will be able to begin mass migration removals of migrants coming from another hemisphere with governments that don't cooperate with the U.S. So exactly what I was saying. This is a big nothing burger. And yeah, so it's something that should have been done a long time ago. Every poll is telling the Democrats that illegal immigration is the #1 issue with voters this year. And so it's time for them to do a little photo op and a little press conference opportunity, of course, which Biden will probably not answer any questions. I thought there was supposed to be a press conference. I don't know if this has all happened. I saw on the news before I came on the podcast that it was supposed to be happening at 2:00. So that will be right when my podcast ends, is when that will be happening. So be sure and tune into that so we can all see what's happening. Yeah, Laura says, I remember when Mark Kelly said he was laser focused on the border. Yeah. What a lie that was. The voters of Arizona were tricked into voting for him because he's been so pro illegal immigration. And, the whole comment by him welcoming committees, the newcomers is what the Biden administration calls them. The New America. They even have a New Americans organization where they're educating and prompting these people from other countries and illegally. Bella Boo, you are out of control today. That thing flew across the room and across the screen. They're grooming them to run for office, whether it's city council or school board or whatever. The New Americans is doing that exact thing. Look it up on the internet. And, there was a Muslim radical kind of a guy up in Michigan. He did a video where he was talking about, we are going to be taking over and we're going to be getting in political offices. You see a lot of them already in political offices across the United States. And we will be in the White House one day. And this is how our country is slowly slipping away, because we don't pay attention to these sort of things. We're lax on the rules, allowing foreigners like Mayorkas to become the Department of Homeland Security secretary, put him in charge of the border, put him in charge of, stopping people from coming here illegally. Like Mayorkas is going to do that, especially to his fellow Cubans who he wants up here. And, really pushing for the Cubans, the Venezuelans, and Nicaraguans. And those are where the problem people are coming from. And you look at these city councils and things that are going on, like in Dearborn, Michigan. Of course, they've taken over Dearborn, Michigan. And this has nothing, I want to state this, what I am talking about has nothing to do with racism or Islamophobe. It's not got nothing to do with that. This has to do with our national security and not adhering to the laws that we have in place about foreigners running for office and taking positions of authority to make law, to break the law, to turn something completely upside down. You should not be able to hold offices. I don't know about a state and a local level. States have their own thing, but you should not be able to hold federal office if you are not a natural born American citizen. That's how I feel. I don't know how many of you feel that way. It's just not in our best interest. And I actually think states need to start looking into it too. Because a lot of these people who come here in their adult life and then run for run for these offices, it's kind of embedded within them where they came from, and their loyalty lies to their home country. Look at Rashid Tlaib. Look at Ilmar. They are definitely, Rashid is 100% Palestinian, pro-Palestinian. And she will fight till the death about upholding that sort of thing. She goes and hangs out with the Palestinian radicals here in the United States, goes to their rallies and does that sort of thing. This is not the proper type of congressional representation that we need in the United States, because she may come from an area that has a lot of Muslim, pro-Palestinian type residents, but does it represent the majority of her district? Do those people really understand what she's there in DC doing? Bet you not. Bet you not. The motivation behind somebody, and I'm running for office here in Arizona, and I'm telling you, it's pretty interesting, the politics within the politics within the politics. And watching this on a state level, and people grasping for endorsements. And, there's certain people that I want endorsements from. I'm proud of the fact that I got Tom Homan's endorsement, because Tom Homan was a former director of ICE. He's a well-regarded, respected man in the United States. He has a backbone to stand up to the Rashids of the world and tell her in a congressional hearing, you work for me, when she was telling him to be quiet. She had the authority in the hearing. But those are the types of endorsements that matter to me, because Tom Homan knows I'm going to be a champion of closing the borders, of doing anything and everything I can in the state of Arizona to get comprehensive illegal immigration bills, legislation passed here, to make sure that Arizona will never become a sanctuary state. But you've got people thinking, I've got, oh my gosh, and you go on their website and there's 50 endorsements and they're so proud of the fact. Guess what, folks? The lobbyists who are endorsing you, and look, lobbyists are important. There's people who represent companies and they have the expert knowledge about things and bills on certain issues. Lobbyists are necessary. I don't know everything, but you know what? You have to be aware of the fact you have to have both ears open and both eyes open when you're a legislator. You have to listen to both sides of an argument regarding a bill. But the most important questions you can ask yourself is this: is it constitutional? Does it benefit the majority of Arizonans? And there's a few other questions that need to be asked, but the biggest thing is it constitutional, and does it benefit the majority of Arizonans? If they're asking you to look at a bill and pass a bill that is going to only benefit and uplift, 1% of the population of Arizona, and it'll be to the detriment of the 99% of the population of Arizona, that's not good. That's not being a good legislator. But anyway, back to what I was saying, the lobbyists don't vote for you. The lobbyists put the money into the campaign behind the scenes. If they're against you or for you, they'll give you money for your campaign, and they may have PACs that they go ahead and put negative or positive messaging out there. But your constituents are who vote for you, the people who you're knocking on the door and having a face-to-face conversation with. And let me tell you, I've got positive reaction in my community. Nothing but positive reaction. I mean, my door knocking has led to me being invited to block parties and homes to talk with people. And that's where the real deal happens, when you connect with the voters. And Laura, I will take your endorsement, because you are a well-regarded and respected angel grandmother in my eyes. I'm proud, and thank you for that, Laura. Laura Basurto is a angel grandmother down in Tucson who lost her grandson Fernando, shot by an illegal, and the anniversary was on May 16th or 19th. It was just, I think it's the 16th. But thank you, Laura. I appreciate that. And she thinks I'm saying goodbye on my podcast, and I'm not yet. Oh, it is time. It's 10:55. I got to sign off. But anyway, thank you, Laura. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day. And the 19th, May 19th. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Bella says goodbye. Come here. Come here. Say goodbye to everybody. Say bye-bye. Bella says bye too.